Derek, are you in the background?
What's up? Hello.
Hey, before we start, just a question. When we talked about the reviews not being listed, viewed on my, you can't see them on my Google page. Nothing's happened since I contacted them. They never got back to me. Contacted them twice. Do you have like any recommendations?
You put a help ticket in for a review that didn't show up, and you
I
haven't heard
thought I put
from
it. I
Google.
thought there wasn't. I sent a I got contact me. I couldn't find a help ticket.
Yeah, there is a specific, like if you go through the help channel, there should be a specific review kind of as the subject, or like you can select it as the thing you're inquiring about or whatever. Even if you did it perfectly, it is not uncommon to hear nothing or hear weeks from now or months from now or never here or here right away.
Google,
So yeah,
Google,
it's yeah, that's
customer
frankly
service.
how it is.
Cus-
Yeah, yeah.
Customer service.
Usually
Don't call us.
you should at least get the confirmation that it was submitted.
I don't remember anymore. I'm just getting, people are saying I've said I can see them. They're saying the copies of what they're doing, and the number isn't changing. I wonder, have my reviews been banned for some strange, funny reason?
Yeah, it's hard to know. I wouldn't think so. I'd have to look deeper or look at your profile more, but I wouldn't read too much into it. I don't think. Unless it becomes like I've been getting reviews for a year and not one has,
Um,
then you would need to look at it.
about 6, 7 months.
Not one for 6 or 7 months has showed up.
No,
Huh.
Mia gave me one. It was there, I think, for one day and it disappeared.
Are you the one that still had, do you still have duplicate profiles?
No, we cleaned it up.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I mean, there might be something further issue there. If it's been that long and nothing showed up, did I give you a review yet?
Yeah, I think you did. I know a couple other people in the team here did as well.
Hmm.
Very funny. What is, but I think it's just kind of strange. It just doesn't.
Yeah, you can go into the community. There's a community when you go to the help tab. There's like two tabs on there, one to
Yeah.
contact Google or whatever, and then there's also a community who is run or proc yeah, run by product experts who do not work for Google. They're just experts and they have kind of an in with if they happen to see your question and kind of choose your issue as something they want to take on while they're because they're free volunteers that do
Yeah.
this. If they happen to see it and want to help, they can kind of push it up and get it to a human or higher up to get something to happen. So that's always an option too. But yeah, I would. Yeah, reach out to me. I would have to make sure a help ticket's being put in the proper way first to try that and see if
I'll play with
anything
it
is
again. I'll see what I
happening.
can do.
And then the community would be the next step, and then further help tickets. There's really, you're never going to talk to somebody at Google, so it's just a matter of
No
keep
one
pushing
works
and
there. It's all
pushing and
AI.
pushing. Yeah. They do,
They're
but you
all
can't
they're all
talk to them.
robots.
Yeah.
They've been replaced.
Uh, so, all right.
Yeah. Thanks.
Let me start the room here. Welcome everybody. I'll invite you up and mod some people. Come up, come up, come up. PTR it. Jess, Maria, Peggy, Howard. I don't know how many that is. Marina, I'll stop there. All right, I'll open the room. We'll get going. This is going to be a little prelude to Connie's Zoom coming up, which I was trying to put in the chat. My thing wouldn't let me paste the link, so I'm trying to find a different link to put in there. This one should work, I think. There. That link I put in the chat there is to the Facebook post in the Facebook group for Connie's Zoom, if anybody wants to attend that at 10 o'clock after this. And we will be talking about AI today here too. So it'll be a good prelude to her room about advanced AI for realtors. So let me open the room. We'll get into it. Find my notes. You're in the Google for Real Estate House. Click above to join if you haven't joined yet. We're here every Wednesday, 9 to 10 a.m. I'm Derek Bixler, born and raised in South Central Pennsylvania, single dad of 3, commercial and residential real estate agent of 17 years, outdoor adventure sportsman, and Google marketing geek. In this room, we talk about dominating Google local search with our Google business profiles and local services ads and some other marketing stuff. And we also talk about other tools. And like today, we'll be talking about Gemini, Google's AI, and a bunch of news. They just had a big release or a conference and then a big keynote speech that I watched a few times through. So it's a bunch of news and things they're dropping having to do with their Gemini AI that we'll be talking about today. Replays are on, recordings are there. Today I'll delete last week's and this week's will be there until next week. And the link above that's pinned, you can access the replays there as well. Please come up to stage. You don't have to say something, but I like people to come and hang out and be with us up here. Or if you do want to chime in, that's welcome as well. If you're an expert at something and know something or have an experience with something we're talking about or a question or anything, please jump in. Um, Interaction is encouraged. So today we'll talk about some Gemini AI news. Like I said, we'll do some Ask Me Anything. We'll start with that, and then I'll kind of fill the time with the Gemini AI stuff. Uh, we'll do the review exchange as always. If you want to, you can put your Google review link in the chat. That is acceptable there. A lot of people do get some reviews out of here. What else? Connie's link, I already said that. Connie's link for her Zoom is in the chat here, and you can find it in the Real Estate All Day Facebook group if anybody wants to go to that later. And I will be trying to end this probably like 10 of 10. So anybody moving over there and for myself so I can go fill up my drink and get ready for Connie's thing. So we'll probably stop at like 9:50 or something a little bit before 10 to get over there. And then next week, not sure what we'll be talking about next week. Possibly ninja tricks, but I think I mentioned that last week. I don't think I have enough saved up to do a whole episode. Well, maybe I do. So anyway, we'll get into it. Anybody have any questions? We'll start with Ask Me Anything. Questions, issues, other than reviews not showing up.
Derek, it's Peggy. I have a question for you. It kind of goes back to the question I had where someone asked me if they're in a high rise in the city, how can they do the video verification? But then when I was looking on Google and some of their demonstration of how to get verified, they had options. So my question is it that you could pick a different option other than video, or is video the only way?
You have whatever option they give you, and right now it's usually video.
So
Um,
they
so
assign that process to you. You don't get A, B, or C or D options.
Correct. When you click get verified or verify myself, it'll say below, here are your options. Sometimes there's a drop down thing that says see more options, and you click it,
Uh-huh.
and there's nothing else there. So yeah,
Okay.
text, video, text, video, postcard are pretty much the only. I can't think of. I don't think there's anything else. They don't do a email one. I've never seen an email one. So usually it's text, video, or postcard. The postcard, I haven't seen that forever. Here and there, I see text ones. A lot of times that's at initial setup. And then the video one, when you change location or something, is typically the one you'll have to do probably 90% of the time. So yes, there are options, but they dictate which one or ones you have access to. And then
Thank you.
if you did the video too many times and failed too many times, then it will block you from any methods and it will say no methods left. And then it's this long trail of trying to find tiny little links in the corners of pop-up windows to get to the proper ticket. And basically, it's a help ticket to upload and basically give them all the information you were supposed to put in the video. And then you also in there, it asks you, are you available for a live call if they wanted to do a live call? So it's, or a video call, rather. So yeah, you can get kind of blocked out of the video if you messed up too many times. For the high rise thing, I would I would just do it from there's probably a window or a lobby down to the street or something. I would kind of start at the window. So typically you would start at your street sign and then go to your house or your office. If you can, sometimes you can't, and sometimes just going on the street and kind of zooming in or like panning and talking about the area around will suffice. But perfect world, you start at a street sign clearly showing the street and then you go to your building. If you can't do that in the case of a high rise, and you really, if it's high, you can't go up an elevator either. Yeah, that's probably never going to happen. So I would just start maybe in the lobby. If there's a window down to the street, that would even be even better. But the farthest away you can start, and prove kind of where you are. And even if you maybe show the street even after you get in the suites, because sometimes in a big high rise, the only common area is the elevator lobby, and there are no windows. If it's a class A building, you would have nice windows and things even there, but a lot of don't. So you wouldn't be able to show the street or do any of that. So you would just show the lobby, say, hey, I'm on the 10th floor lobby of this building. Here's my, you would want permanent signage for sure in that lobby or on your door or whatever. There should be permanent signage. You'd show the permanent signage. You'd go into the office. You do all the things as usual, and then maybe add in, I would guess, hopefully you have windows in the office. Then maybe also as part of it, you could just find a window somewhere where you can say, hey, you can see down here is whatever street, there's this Manhattan, you can see the whatever landmark right there, or whatever, just a little bit of showing it at least possibly. But yeah, I would just start at probably at the elevator lobby, I think, in that case. I've never heard anybody talk about that. If next time I'm in a webinar, I'll put that question in because I think that's a good question, and I've never heard anybody talk about it. Any follow-ups to that or other questions?
I appreciate that answer, though. Thank you.
Yeah. Who was that for? Was that for you, or was that a random question
You know,
that you heard, or where'd you
it's
get
an
that?
agent who was asking me because I talk about Google Business Profile a lot. It's just far as like, it's people should do it. It's Google puts it there and gives us all this opportunity to prove our location authority. Why not do it? But then there are people who may have moved offices, locations, and then they get stuck. And so they ask me, and I just never heard of that one.
Yeah, and if you do move, this is a tip. If you do, say, move brokerages or offices or locations or whatever, and you think it's going to be really hard to re-verify, or you just don't want to, you would rather just leave your profile where it is because that's where you want to rank, you could just hide the address, leave it there. So you're still, as far as Google's concerned, you're still sitting in that same place you always were, but you've hidden the address so your address won't show to people for compliance, and privacy. If you're in a big place like Manhattan, uh, well, I guess that's going to be hard to beat people in general in Manhattan because there's 8 bajillion people. But if it's Philly or something, um, you could probably rank there. But yeah, you could hide your address if you didn't want to go through the whole rigmarole, but it's still going to rank where you were to begin with.
Yeah, this was Philly. Yep, downtown Philly.
Yeah, probably a lot of agents there too, I guess. Anybody else? Any follow-ups to that or any other questions, issues? All right, cool. We'll start talking about Gemini. So they had this big Google conference and this keynote, and you can watch the keynote. I should have had that link ready, and I don't, but it's on YouTube. If you just went to Google's YouTube channel, the keynote's there, and it's split up into sections too. But they basically talked about it's a keynote all about Gemini and their AI. So their AI is called Gemini, and I'm just going to kind of go through a bunch of the things that they talked about. A lot happening over there. It actually caused me to sign up for their paid version, which doesn't have all the stuff that they talked about yet. A lot of the stuff is wait lists, but some of it's available, and we'll talk about it. So, what is Gemini AI? If you don't know what Gemini is, well, it used to be called Bard. It was Google's AI, similar to uh, ChatGPT, but now they have renamed it Gemini, and it was built by Google DeepMind. So Google DeepMind was founded in 2010 by some dude in England, I think. I forget. I had the article up, but anyway, it was founded by some dude, and then it turned into Google DeepMind. They combined a bunch of departments recently, so they used to
Morning.
have morning. They used to have all their AI departments kind of split up. So they had a different team working on the image stuff. They had a different team working on learning language stuff. They had a different team working on maps, a different team working on all these things. But recently they brought all the AI departments basically all together, and I'm sure they're still split up some way, but all together into the Google DeepMind to all work on this one project basically called Gemini. And then this Gemini thing powers all the other AI tools and things that Google has. But Gemini is the name of, like, on my Google phone, the Google Assistant is now called Gemini. And then they have different names for some of the other tools that Gemini powers, but it is all powered by Gemini, that was created by Google DeepMind, which is their big AI thing. Oh, here it is. So Google DeepMind is a British American artificial intelligence AI research lab that develops general purpose AI technology. The team is made up of scientists, engineers, and I think this is interesting, ethicists, who work to create AI systems that are safe and responsible. Google DeepMind research includes blah, 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 blah. So, and they talked about it a lot in the video too, the ethics of it and the responsibility of it, and watermarking things and marking things certain ways so people know that things are created by AI. So they definitely, I feel like they talk about it a lot more than I've heard others talk about it, but I thought it was interesting that there's three people listed: scientists, engineers, and ethicists are one of the main people who work on the project. So I think that's somewhat interesting and good to hear too, because it's, and part of what they came up with, actually, it's my third note here, uh, can help people make very bad things. So it's good to know that they are thinking about keeping very bad things out of bad hands and being able to spot it when something's being used like that and stop it or whatever. And they partner with a lot of other organizations, actually with Microsoft and Adobe and a lot of other AI artificial intelligence creators to come up with kind of a standard of monitoring and watermarking and all these things so that everybody knows and can monitor and track all this stuff. But so the first thing they talked about in it is called Notebook LM. And Notebook LM, you could get on that right now. It's, for the most part, this is where you would upload things and then ask Gemini things about those things. So like in ChatGPT, you can go in there and upload a PDF and then ask it questions about the PDF, what zones can I have a bar in this township? And you upload the PDF and it'll tell you all that stuff. In Notebook LM is where you would do that in Gemini. So you open it up, you start a new notebook, and you can upload up to 1 million tokens worth of information. 1 million tokens means nothing to any of you, but apparently that is a lot. So what I found, ChatGPT is in the thousands. I think the highest number I found when I was Googling it was in the 38,000, 40,000 tokens, which basically just means how much information it can process, how much information you can give it to look at and give you something back. So Google Gemini has 1 million tokens. You can upload videos. I think they said up to an hour worth of video, because when you upload a video, it literally looks at every single frame in the video and analyzes what's in it and what's happening and everything. So in Notebook LM is the space on Gemini where you would go and upload documents, whatever you want, as much as you want for the most part. I don't, it's pretty hard to hit the limit, it sounds like. And then you can talk to it about those things. The thing that I thought was super awesome, and if you watch the video, there's a demonstration of it, was audio overviews. So the example they used was a kid learning physics. So they took the physics textbook, they took a bunch of videos, they took the syllabus or whatever, and then all these documents, like there's some crazy amount of information, and just uploaded everything into it. So that now Google knows everything about the subject of physics, or at least this course that the kid is taking in physics. And then it asks it to do an audio overview, which basically podcastified it. It turned it into a podcast essentially. So it started the way it came in. It was two people talking. It was a woman. Hey, how's it going? Today we're going to be talking about the force of gravity. And I've got my friend whatever here. And then the guy chimes in. Yeah, it's great. We're going to blah, blah, blah. And they just start going into it and talking about it basically. And then you can also interject and ask it questions. And the question he asked was, hey, can you, my son plays basketball. He likes basketball. Can you create an example and explain it relating to basketball? And it just went in, sure, hey. And at first it said hi to the kid. Hey, Scott, how's it going? Nice to have you here. And then it went into the example about basketball. So I thought it was killer. And for audio learners like myself, that would be awesome. If you could upload whatever you want and then it just comes out and spits whatever you want at it and you can talk back. And if you listen to it, the woman and the man, they both sound exactly like, they didn't sound fake at all, not one tiny bit. So I thought that feature was super awesome, but also just that's the place where you would upload stuff and then you can ask it about the stuff. And they're all separated. So it's not like you just upload them to your Gemini and they're floating out there. Each notebook is kind of separate. So when you go into a notebook and ask it a question about physics, it has all the past activity that you've talked about, all the audio overviews, all the information that you gave it. It knows all the stuff. So you can go in there and ask it questions about the subject. Um, they have AI that can predict and analyze how molecular structures uh, react and um interact with each other. So essentially, it can analyze life and health effects at the molecular structure, and it can follow you around and tell you if you have diseases is where it basically can go. Right now they're using it in the health and medical field just to help practitioners and
Or
professionals.
radiation around your microwave. I wish I paid more attention in physics.
Yeah, I don't want any radiation. I watch it Fallout. Isn't it? That's big on Prime right now. That's about uh, the end of the earth from nuclear radiation. But yeah, so they have this DeepMind, the new Google AI, can analyze things down. Like if you're eating these foods and you gave it also your gut test that you got and all, you gave it your blood tests and all your information, and then let Google know what you're eating and what you're doing and where you are and all the things that it tracks at some point. And I'm sure Siri and the others are working on these things too. They're not the only ones, but at some point it can track and tell you pretty well if something's happening or know things. We've all heard the story of like a parent finding out that the kid was pregnant because of Walmart sending coupons because it kind of knew the habits of the person and started sending emails or marketing to the person about pregnancy and that kind of stuff or whatever, um, based on just habits, not because they were actually doing things, but it was just out of somehow they tracked, figured it out. So do it a while, but this thing can really, really, really do it. And I'm sure they probably use it in the actual testing of like blood tests and things at that level. They can use it for on the professional level as well. So I thought that was interesting. Uh, Project Astra, that's their what they call their general AI assistant. Um, it is multimodal, so that's the race right now is for this general AI assistant. Microsoft, there's a new company built or with Bill Gates and some other billionaires that's coming up with a general assistant, and that's really the race right now because once the general assistant comes about, then that's kind of replaces all the other ones. So the holy grail would be just one thing, one entity, one assistant. They call them agents. Your assistant is an agent. That's what they called them in the video. But to have one thing that you just talk to, like what's that movie where the thing's in the wall, the old movie or whatever. But you talk to, or in Iron Man, I forget, Jarvis. Is that the computer's name? So there's one assistant that does everything. So you don't have to learn prompting. You don't have to learn how to use the image generator software. You don't have to learn how to do the video generating AI. You don't have to learn anything. You don't have to go search for anything. You don't have to shop. You don't have to do anything except talk to this one thing that will bring you everything. So that's the big arms race out there right now. And that's why everybody drops things before it's out. Like half the things Google talked about are not out right now. GPT, they talk about stuff too before it's out. Apple does that all the time too. It's because if everybody else is dropping it, I got to drop it too because it's an arms race to get in the game and get people using your stuff, and get them ingrained in your AI, because once you're in something for a long time and are used to it and it knows your habits and it knows you, to switch is going to be a pain in the butt. So if they can get people using their AI, especially a general assistant that learns your habits and knows you over time, which these things do, then they can keep you pretty much forever, uh, and charge you something at some point. Obviously, I started paying for it already, and then when I'm deeper in, you never stop paying for it. Kind of like a CRM or a Mailchimp or a email autoresponder. I've set all this up. I got all these people in here. It's all this work to get where I am, and I'm not going to switch because it's too much of a pain in the butt. So that's the big race, the general assistant. But their general AI assistant is called Astra. Um, and it is what they call multimodal, which just means you can interact with it in video, with photos. In the demonstration, it actually, she went into it and turned her camera on and said, "What do you see on my desk?" One guy scanned a bookshelf and said, uh, catalog all these books for me. So he just scanned the bookshelf, not very fast. Some of the words were blocked, and within seconds, it gave him a whole list of all the books, all the authors, even the ones where like a plant was blocking the words. It figured out the right book by the clues that it could figure out. So you can interact with it with videos, with photos, by talking to it, all the things, audio also. Imagine 3 is their text to image generator. And I kind of don't, well, I not kind of, I don't like that they separate all these things. You have to purposely go to Notebook LM to do the stuff that I was talking about there. You have to purposely go to Imagine 3 to do the text to image generator. You have to purposely go to VO, which is their text to video generator. And neither of those things are out yet. You have to get on the wait list. But they're all kind of separated, and I kind of wish they were all just in one, which is probably the goal at the end. They probably just separate them while they're testing them, and then at some point they'll all be kind of part of that one.
I don't think they'll put them all together. I think they'll start charging for certain ones, like the one you were talking about that can analyze things in your body. You know what? It could be a game changer for the medical industry right now. They still do brain scans. And if they could get away from that, that's radiation.
Yeah, and I mean, it could bring down healthcare costs a lot if everybody wore a tracker. I don't, because I don't like wearing things. But the older I
How
get,
about
the
your
more I'm thinking
phone?
like maybe I should wear one of these trackers. But if you're wearing a tracker and you have your phone and you allowed it to track everything, and know what medications you're on and just know everything, it could help prevent disease. However, I don't think that's getting political, but I don't think the health care industry wants to prevent disease. If they would, my doctor would talk to me about diet, or even like at least a sentence about diet, or what are you eating, or there's never any talk. He or she pulls up the computer, types in my symptoms, and reads to me basically what it says I have, it seems like. And there's never any talk of diet or health, wellness practices, ways that you can naturally prevent this from happening or reverse something that's happening. There's never anything. They try to force. I always leave with some kind of prescription. You sure you don't want this? No, I'm good, dude. I'll deal with it. It's fine. I think it could be used for lots of great things. And there's already a lot of trackers and things out there. But the more they have more access, the smarter the things get. It really could be a game changer for health. Um, It'll be nice when you can take your own tests at home. That'll probably never happen either. Like a blood tester. That
Oh,
why can't I have a blood tester? Prick myself and it just gives me my blood work.
It will
I can
come,
poop in a
Derek.
bag and it'll just tell me right then. I don't even want to
It will
mail the
come.
thing in. I want to be able
But
to do it in my own thing at my house.
what you can do now, though, Derek, you can take your lab results, you can plug them into
How
either
about COVID
ChatGPT.
testing and pregnancy testing? But I don't think that doctors' rates in healthcare will come down.
Yeah, I don't know. Coming from the pharmaceutical industry, and you were in the medical industry as well, I don't know. I know that when I worked for J&J, it was healthcare, health wellness future projects were how to change the situation. That's the future of making a profit. I see them coming in on that. And if you can take your you can take your lab results. If GPT, and whatever can pass be certified as a doctor based on knowledge, you put your lab results in and tell me what are the results? What's the outcome? What would be, and I tested it with my doctor on something, and I went into the session with the doctor knowing what she was going to say before she said it.
And it was right.
Close. There's a little bit, she was a little bit more flexible. She was less concerned than what Chat GPT was. She said, "It's okay. We'll see what. It's not an issue yet."
That sounds about right. We'll deal with it when it's actually an issue, and
We'll
we can
find out.
charge.
I'm
And we can
good.
charge
So
you ten
once I
thousand dollars for the test, and
well,
then another $30,000 to fix it.
no, Israeli medical care is not, it's free. So reasonable.
Oh,
It's not an issue.
rub
I'm
it
not
in, why
losing.
don't you?
It's not. I'm not losing anything on that.
Yeah, the medical field is that's going to be changed at some point too, and hopefully that they can find a way to make a profit from helping prevent disease rather than treating it
I can see
or
it
Hey,
work
Derek.
for
mandating it.
concierge medicine. You don't have to leave your house. You do your own tests and they give you the results.
Yeah, it's already kind of
Yeah,
happening, right?
it's already happening. My daughter-in-law does all the tests for the doctor, ear, nose, and throat using telemedicine. So it's not in our where I live. It's quite common to telemedicine.
And is
Yeah,
it
my
cheaper?
daughter does it. Yes, if you use their doctors. But if you want to use your own, it's not, they have to be a network. But my daughter does it for VA. She She works at VA once a week. And during COVID, she definitely did telemedicine at home, but she still does it most of the time.
Yeah, why not? Why even drive there for nothing really most of the time unless they need to move your arm and say, does it hurt here? Does it hurt here?
Well, there
And
are,
even then you could do that yourself, right? They could
yeah,
still say, hey, feel it here, tell me that.
yeah, but there are some things that you have to see with the naked eye or test or, you know, but it's getting more virtual.
Yeah, at some point you'll take a picture. It might even be there. Like take a picture of a sore and say, what should I do for this? It'll be like, well, it looks like it's at the second stage of getting infected. You should probably get this ointment and this and this and this. And,
It's already
yeah.
there. Rashes, you know, things like that. It's already there. They take a picture.
Have you guys heard of the PGX blood test? It's called PGX. This is Connie Lynn. This is my first time speaking in this room here.
Okay, well,
But
Okay.
okay, so it takes your blood test, like a blood sugar or cholesterol test is the same, and then it takes your genetics, okay, and then it can tell you your interactions with different medicines. And so once you have this test, it lasts for a lifetime. It doesn't change anything, but it helps the doctor give you medicine. I was at the VA yesterday with my husband and learned this. So it's something new, I take it. Has anybody else heard about it?
no, but it replaces the absolute old pharmacist because that's the only one that could tell you that.
That's
So,
true. Mm-hmm.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
definitely. And I just like to see, you know, how much salt you take in, you know what happens like when you have this much salt and also cholesterol when you eat this much, you
Mm-hmm.
know, fats and dairy and stuff, what it does to you. So how you can relate, you know, diabetes too.
Did you
Mm-hmm.
say PGA? Is that what you said?
PGX
X.
testing. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Awesome. Sweet. Thank you for that. All right, so they got the image generator, they got the video generator, and I'm hoping that my one subscription to Gemini gets me access to the image generator when it drops, to the video generator when it drops, to Notebook LM features when it drops, to all these things. They also have a travel assistant, and you can actually turn this on now on the free version. But it will basically say, "I want to go to this place. Give me the flights. Give me a itinerary. Jimmy is allergic to peanuts, and Sally only likes doesn't like Chinese food, plan meals every day. So you give it a whole bunch of criteria and then just tell it to plan your vacation basically. And it does it for you. And then you can expand things or click on a restaurant and say, replace this one with something different, or that kind of thing. So the travel assistant, and that makes sense that they would do the travel assistant because that's going to sell things like flights and hotels mainly. That's the game there. The travel assistant, and then they sell you hotels and flights. Probably not Google directly, but through whatever they have sent you to, and then they get a cut of it, or somehow profit from it, or run ads there as well, possibly. But and that's a whole nother thing. They never talked about ads. Will there be ads somehow attached to all
Is
these
the
things?
sky blue?
Yeah. So they have the travel assistant. They got some new CPUs, hypercomputers. Apparently, I didn't even know they made computers. They partner with NVIDIA, who makes processors that everybody uses. So they've got hyper supercomputers that like developers can buy. And I guess consumers could too. Generative search they talked
Hey,
about.
Derek.
Generative search. Go ahead.
NVIDIA, by the way, if anybody's like, what stock should we be buying? What stock's going to really shoot off with this AI? NVIDIA, that one you just mentioned, you cannot believe what they've done. It's gone off the charts. It could have been an all-time breaker, record breaker of stocks, and it's AI driven. So there's that element. And sorry to interrupt. Back to you, Derek.
No, that's great. Yeah. And they are all over there's always those little companies that nobody really knows that makes some doohickey or does some specific thing that then all the car manufacturers use, or all the AI companies use, or all the phone manufacturers use. It's kind of like making the shovel, selling the shovels rather than digging for the gold. And behind the scenes, they're raking it in, and they're one of those companies, I think. But generative search, so there's a whole new way of search coming, basically, and a lot of times, a lot of things right now, it already does it. It will, with the saying, the slogan they put on the screen was, Google will do the Googling for you. So basically, instead of you even having to look at the search results, it is going to Google look at all the search results that it would give you and then summarize it all in text, in bullet points, in supplemental links. Here's where we got the information from. If there are flights or something like that, all those would be right there, all planned out and everything. So it's going to be a whole new search, which is good for users, I suppose, if users like it and it answers the questions and users, and it benefits users, but it's not necessarily good for bloggers, or if you're trying to get traffic to your website, or Google business profiles, or anytime when you're trying to get somebody to click and go to your thing. Because if Google is giving you the answer right in Google search, they have the resources. You could click to read more on this article where we got the information from, but are you going to do that? Probably not. I just got my answer. When is this day, or what's the standard gift for a 13th wedding anniversary traditional gift? Instead of clicking on the blog article that lists all of them and reads it, and then the blog article benefits from showing ads and that's how they make money, instead Google scans that article and gives me the answer right there in big text. It even talks it to me. If I, hey Google, oh no, I shouldn't have said that. Now my whole house of devices is going to start listening to me. You just say Google, ask it this thing, and it's going to give you the answer right there. You don't even have to click into a thing to get your answer. So Google will do the Googling for you. Basically, marketers and people, it's not a good thing, essentially, probably, but on the user end, it is kind of cool when they use it. They don't use it for every query. If the query seems like it should be, like I put in what is Google DeepMind, and it gave me one of these AI answers at the top and then regular search results below it. But if I were to type in realtor near me, typically for local type searches, it's not going to automatically put a generative search answer at the top unless you purposely turn it on. There is a way that you can like force it to every time. At some point, it probably will. Right now, it doesn't. But right now, it kind of figures out which kind of query you're doing and does it make sense to give you an overview and just answer your question right now. If you ask it really easy questions like what's the temperature today, or when was Richard Gere born, or whatever, it's going to give you the answer right in the search, not some blog article about it typically. But that will be expanding, and you'll see it probably happening right now, I would think, with some of your searches already. And you can turn it on and off too if you wanted to, but some of it is happening whether you turn it on or off, or regardless. AI overviews, yeah, I talked about that. Multi-step planning, I talked about. Travel assistant, so it's going to be, you could just go to regular Google search basically and say, hey, plan a trip for me, and give it a whole bunch of information like you would ChatGPT. So Google search essentially turns into ChatGPT kind of, but also gives you supplemental resources and things to click on. So it goes from just realtor near me to what's a realtor near me that sells in this neighborhood and has at least 20 sales a year, and is with a local brokerage and is a woman of this age, or you could give it a whole bunch of criteria and it would kind of go figure it out and give you the best answer for it. Video search, you'll be able to, and you can search with images right now, but I've never done a video search, but you will be able to do video searches. Again, you could like scan pantry and say, hey, what can I make for dinner? And right in the regular Google search results, it would do it. Obviously, you could also do it with the Gemini assistant also, but pretty much right in Google search, you'll be able to do a lot of the functions that your assistant could do as well. Image search that I talked about. Then they talked about workspace. Gemini, if you have workspace, you've already seen it kind of pop up in there. I haven't used a lot of the features or any of the features, frankly, in workspace. Um, It'll be in regular Gmail as well. So you might even see Gemini in your regular Gmail now. I definitely have it, but I started paying for it and I didn't notice it was there until I started paying for it. But it should be default in Gmail to help you with things in there. And the one thing I liked was that it will now be able to do automations between Google's apps. So kind of similar to what Zapier does, but not between other makers of apps, between all the Google apps. So it will know automatically your Google Calendar and your emails and your Google Keep notes and your files in your sheets and your Word docs and your Google Slides presentations. It will know and have access to all that stuff and be able to send things back and forth between the things. You could just say to it, hey, every email that comes in with this subject line, take that email address and put it on this spreadsheet over here. So it will be able to do automations like that between all the different apps. Some of it can kind of be done right now, but it'll be a lot easier, and it'll actually be almost like a person you're talking to, basically. Virtual teammate, which is what this is. So in Workspace, you can have, you can add teammates. You have you, and then you have your employees or whatever. You will actually have a virtual teammate. So they named theirs Chip in the example. So Chip was their virtual teammate, and it was literally like a virtual teammate. It would be in all the chats. It would be watching all the videos, reading all the supplemental materials. It would know everything about the project, and it would track the projects for you. And if you say you're in something all day and there's a whole bunch of chat going back and forth and you don't want to read all of it, you could just go in there and say, hey, Chip, what did I miss or what do I need to know from today? And it would tell you exactly what was going on, or, hey, where are we at with it? Does anybody know where we're at with this thing? And Chip would chime in, and other people could chime in too, actual people, but Chip would be tracking everything and know everything that's going on. So there's this virtual teammate. I'm guessing, I don't know if you have to pay for that or not. That'd be awesome if that was free with Workspace. Um, I would guess it would somehow be within a higher tier. I can't see them giving a virtual teammate away just for free to everybody with Workspace, but higher tiers probably, or maybe everybody. I don't know.
Howard does it for me.
Howard.
What did
You
I was
summarize everything for me.
what I
Oh,
what I
there you go.
what I do is I take everything if I can, if there's a transcript of a presentation, a meeting, if someone's using Otter sometimes, and I have access to their Otter page, I take the Otter output or the transcripts from the coach, whatever, and I'll throw it into my dear friend ChatGPT and ask it to start producing summaries. And until the summary I don't get what I want, I keep on throwing it back to add more or look at this angle, this angle, and this angle, and then it produces me. I'll produce like a 2, 3, 4 page document summarizing what happened in that hour meeting. And the same with my coaching call. I'll put it in there and I'll say, okay, so I have like a week, but I know what I need to do for the next 2 weeks, and it's on my desk in front of my eyes with the
Yeah,
call
I guess the
actually done.
the benefit of the Google one would be you don't even have to drop it in there. If you're using Google Meet and you're using all the different Google tools and everything, you
I'm
wouldn't
not
even
using Google
have to do
Tools.
it.
I'm using Google Docs. I'm a partial. I'm less Microsoft than I used to, but I'm not fully indoctrinated into all the Google stuff.
Yeah, I guess that's the part of their selling point is, and in regards to, well, Microsoft, they have the whole world of everything also, and big corporations use Microsoft, but definitely not ChatGPT. Like that's not, they don't have a video conferencing app, they don't have a Maps app, they don't have a calendar app, they don't have all these things. So that's what is appealing about the Google AI is because it can watch all your stuff, and then you don't even have to take the transcript and upload it. You don't even need Otter AI. You don't need anything else. It's all in Google, and you just say, "Hey, Chip, in that meeting the other day in that Google Meet, what did they say about this? And you wouldn't even have to read the thing. You don't have to upload it to ChatGPT to summarize. None of that stuff. Um, I think that that is what they're going for. And I don't know any other company that can really do it because they have so many apps and people use all those apps so religiously. There is no other company that really has that. And then they can just drop AI in there that can now know your whole life. And that general assistant we were talking about makes it a lot easier for Google to do it than anybody else. Other people can do it, and obviously you just give it access to your Google stuff or your calendar or whatever. But I see that as a big advantage for Google having all those different apps that they can just drop AI in and just dominate with that. On their phones, they're going to be all Gemini'd out and AI. So they had a big long section about the Android phones, and from here on out, Gemini Nano will be on all devices, regular Gemini, but also Gemini Nano. So you basically so that's if you don't have a signal for the most part. So you can have AI that is processed by their computer. So you type something in, it sends it to their computer at their giant server farm or wherever their supercomputer. It processes it and sends it back to you. But sometimes you need it faster, or you just don't have signal. So they have smaller versions of AI that can run on a phone or on a laptop just by itself on the device. So all of their devices are going to have Gemini Nano and then access to full Gemini, obviously, in the near future. They said it'll be on over 2 million devices by the end of the year. Google does dominate. I mean, Apple is up there, but I think Android is still, they sell way more Android phones because Android is open source. Different manufacturers can make Android phones. Google makes their own Google phones now that are getting pretty good, and they sell cheap phones. So that's a big misconception. People think Android phones suck. They don't suck. The cheap ones suck, but it is good to make cheap phones so that people, low income, whatever, it makes accessibility. It's an accessibility thing, and somebody can get a free phone still with a new plan or whatever. They get the cheap phone, but at least they have a phone. So they do sell a crap ton of phones, more than Apple, I would still guess. I did not research that recently, but I would guess worldwide in total there are more Android phones than Apple. So they're going to have access for their AI to be in all these things. All around the world. It will be context aware. So, and that's true of all this Gemini stuff. Anytime you ask it something, it will know what's going on in your life, especially on the Android, on the phone. It's watching all your apps, it's watching all your emails, all your texts, all your prescriptions. If you get email from medical stuff, all those things, it's watching everything. And if you ask it a question, it will know things about you and answer accordingly. So if you ask it like, um, make me send me a recipe for strawberry salad for dinner tonight, and it would say, yeah, sure, here's one, but don't you think you might want something different? You had strawberries for breakfast this morning, or something to that effect. It knows your life, it knows things. Or didn't your doctor say you should not have those coming up for the surgery, or whatever? So it will know things about you, and when you ask it things, it will give you answers based on knowing things about you. Another thing on the phone, scam warnings. So it actively listens to your call, and if it sees something wrong, it would alert you. So the example had somebody calling and say, "Hey, we need to verify your bank account or blah 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 something," and it immediately the phone went bang bang, possible spam. Watch out! Please do not. You should hang up or whatever. So it also has some scam stuff, and basically it's listening to your calls. And there would also be, I would guess, transcriptions available at some point, and it already has translate. Like the assistant will translate live for you. I haven't tried it. I would love to try it. If somebody speaks another language, we should try it. But it will be integrated into calls as well, very much. Developers, they talked about a bunch of stuff for developers. It's open. Developers can build other technology on Gemini or using their different versions of Gemini. They've got a few different versions, but developers can build on their platform. Same with OpenAI and most of the other big AI ones. They are kind of people can build on their platform, not on their platform, but they can tie in and use their platform to generate AI things for their own apps and things. And then they went into heavily, like I alluded or like I talked about, talking about ethics and responsibility. So there was a good 15 minutes or so about ethics and responsibility. They have what they call red teaming, where they have teams trying to break the AI and or prevent AI use for nefarious things. So they're always in there, trying to, I guess, biological warfare or anything having to do with creating. I think biological warfare was the example they used. But these AIs can be used for all kinds of crazy things, bomb making, pretty much anything you ask it, it's going to tell you how to do it and give you examples and pictures. And at some point, it could generate a video showing you exactly what to do. So there are teams, and Google's not the only people doing it, but they are constantly always in there trying to break it. They use AI to break the AI. They also use human teams to do things and try to prevent or build it in a way that can prevent nefarious things from happening. I said before they were working with Microsoft, Adobe, and a lot of other AI companies to develop a standard for making and identifying AI generated media. Even in the text somehow they can like watermark it. So I guess even if you copy and paste it somewhere, it like follows with it. Maybe I don't know if you like clear formatting that gets rid of it or change the font. I don't know, but they're smart people, so I'm sure they're figuring out a way that kind of like no matter what you do with it, maybe it can track it. I would think with an image or a video, once you do a bunch of editing and renaming and moving around in softwares and saving and then uploading and editing, and how could it track all that the whole way through? But they're all kind of working together to come up with a system that AI generated media can be tracked and displayed. So a lot of the social platforms starting to or want to put even a like little badge on images, and I've seen it on Facebook a lot. A lot of images that I'm like, whoa, that's cool, and I'm like, oh, it's AI. Oh, that's cool. Well, that's AI, and they're going to start putting little badges on things, telling people that they're AI. And then they have Learn AM or Learn LM, which is their, and we got 2 minutes till Connie's thing, so I'm going to end. But Learn LM is their partnering with MIT, Khan Academy, and a lot of other educational institutions to create things. Right now, they have Google School, or I think they call it School, but Learn LM will probably kind of replace School or go in conjunction with School, and then that would be something that educators can use and probably be at some different price or something. So, all right, I'm going to stop this abruptly. Sorry for doing that, but I definitely want to get over to Connie's room. If you or want to go to Connie's room, it's up third, fourth link from the top. That Facebook link is the registration for her room for advanced AI for realtors at 10 o'clock in 2 minutes from now. So if you want to get there, grab that link real quick. Thanks everybody for being here. And I will hopefully have a more Google business profile centric topic for next week. Maybe I'll make the ninja tricks happen. That's a good one that I need to do anyway. So let's do that. Any questions? Quick, 30 seconds. All right.
As always, thank you so much, Derek.
Thanks everybody. See you in Connie's thing if you're going.